What's up, everybody? Another episode, first episode of the second season, possibly just an extended forever season of Smoking That Ish. Yay! Hold your applause. Hold your applause. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Big shout out to D Game Podcast Studios. As usual, we changed the tapestry. A little more peaceful vibes, a little more zen, a little more color, you know? A little bit better. Yeah, rocking a Dragon Ball shirt today, see? Yeah, because I'm into that shit, so whatever. Judge if you will. Superior Buds, shout out. Thanks for being my local spot and for always helping me get through hard times, man. Good people there at Superior Buds in Mitchell. Cloud9, of course, all my smoking needs when it comes to utensils and silverware and whatnot, you know. No, when it comes to glass pieces, they have some amazing pieces there. And of course, they have cheap run-of-the-mill pieces as well, if that's what you need. Whatever you need to get by. That's also in Mitchell. Where have I been? Mostly I've been at home. I had a lot of issues that I had to work through, a lot of anxiety and I don't know, just some depression, I guess. And I had to take some time to recenter, you know, find myself again and get back to work at a real job and stuff like that. So I got my life in order. I spent more time with my family. I got my family life in order and I got a job. And then I figured, what the hell? Why not? No. I've always wanted to come back and record and do more. And I don't know. I didn't have, the confidence in myself. And I didn't really believe in the industry. There's too much bad stuff going on, you know? And that's the next thing I'm moving on to, why I became jaded with the industry and the way it is. There's, on top of there just being a lot of schmoozing like there is in any industry where you've got a lot of people, yeah, no, it's great, wonderful, da, da, da. And then, you know, they go home and fuck that guy, you know, or whatever, excuse my French, you know, where they just, you know, they'd go home and they talk bad about the same people they were just smiling at and stuff. And it's just, you know, the money gets into it too much. A lot of money to be made, which brings out, you know, guys that are more just like business sharks than, you know, people who really care about giving you good medicine at a decent quality price and helping you. They just want to take as much of your money as they can so that they can continue to do what they do, which is just exploit people to make money, you know? There's places that are, you know, they're using their ability to sell marijuana to bolster their alcohol selling businesses. I know one place in particular, the owner bought a topless bar in Fort Pierre with the money that they have been making off their dispensaries, etc. And that's, you know, by smoking marijuana, I now have to support sexual exploitation and alcohol sales. So that's sweet. So I don't know how everybody else is. I imagine everybody else doesn't really give a shit where they go and where they shop. You know, you don't really care. Not that I'm like on a pedestal or anything like that. It's just, due to this job, I've been, forced to do more research on where I go and places like that and who owns it and their history, where they make their money and stuff like that. And I've found that a lot of places don't really care about the customers. And that's hard, being a customer when people are just trying to take your money and, you know, they're not sincere, and they're just trying to do what everybody else does and get as much of your cash as they can. Sorry, the voice is a little bit worn out. I haven't done this in a while. And I just recorded a pretty long episode of the D Game podcast with my brother on there. So we kind of got out of pocket, talk about some wild and crazy stuff. So if you want to check that out, D Game 6923 on YouTube, I will be on his latest episode. So yeah, please check that out. Like, share, subscribe, everything. Tell a friend, all that good stuff. And then apart from that, I see places putting liquor stores next to head shops and stuff like that. Like, if it's gonna be a medicine, you can't put it next to the party spot, okay? Unless you want to start considering alcohol a medicine, in which case, I mean, whatever. It's so embedded in our culture, I don't think we'll ever get rid of it. But I mean, if you just to see how society goes, turn on an episode of Cops, any episode, any season, and tell me if 80 to 90% of the calls on there don't have something to do with alcohol or meth. Just check it out for yourself. But alcohol, it lowers your inhibitions, which is cool for when you want to have more confidence and maybe talk to girls and stuff. That's helpful, but it also makes you make bad decisions, and it is scientifically proven to make you more violent. And, you make more bad choices, you're more violent, sexually cranked up. I mean, it's everything that they used to say about marijuana, but in alcohol, But yeah, I'm not going to shit on people that drink just because I don't, but really, if alcohol was introduced today, we would think that they were fucking out of their minds for trying to get us to drink alcohol. Another thing that kind of burned me out a little bit was a lot of places just, like I said, they don't care. They just want to be the best, and not to call anybody out or whatever, but just the example I have is like DNG and the Tea Tree. Okay, I went into the Tea Tree one day to buy a bag, and they had, some really good stuff from DNG, but they had 3 phenoms. I was going to drop an F-bomb, but I didn't. See, I caught myself. I'm doing good. They had 3 different phenoms of the same strain. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, one, it's ridiculous for them to think anybody's going to want to get 3 different phenoms of the same shit, regardless that they are slightly different in their own way. But normally a place would pick the best phenome, move on with that, and rehash the other ones. But that's not all on the Tea Tree, because that had to be in part to DNG talking them into doing that. And that's just not looking out for your dispensary, man. That's not looking out for your dispensary buddies. And it was, I look at it as kind of a crappy thing to do to somebody, to have them selling 3 different phenoms, because it looks ridiculous. But yeah, I'm just saying, we need to stop worrying about money and worry more about treating each other proper and being kind, because Kristi Noem does not fucking want us here. Okay? She wants nothing to do with legal marijuana or anything, and she is doing everything that her and her friends can do to stop it. Okay? And while I agree with her on some things, like, sending troops to the border to help out Texas, which, anybody who knows Texas knows you'd rather have Texas as a friend than an enemy. Their motto is "Don't mess with Texas," for Christ's sakes. So I support her helping them out, because I imagine they know more about what's going on down there than I do. So if they say it's a huge issue, it's probably a huge fucking issue. Why I came back. We'll get back to Kristi Noem and stuff in a minute. This is going to end up being a 2, maybe 3, 4-part episode. It's going to be going on for a minute because there's a lot to cover apparently on all the stuff that is going on. I'm back because I kind of have a new perspective. Like before, I would have been afraid to say the stuff like DNG and stuff like that, but it's my observation on things, okay? And my word is not omnipotent or set in stone or anything. It's just how it looks to me, and it looks like they talked the teacher into doing something that was not good for business. So I have a new perspective on things. I'm honest, but I'm not angry with it, like I try not to say things out of anger and stuff. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of therapy and just trying to get my life together, It doesn't make sense to just sit around and complain and not do anything to try and make it better. I don't have to dive into everything, like before I was getting into a lot of the science, which if you dive into it can go on forever. And I don't grow. I'm not growing at home. There are some aspects of growing that I do find interesting and I will eventually, inevitably come across and cover. But I'm not going to solely focus on so much science and stuff and feel obligated to dive into anything that I'm not genuinely interested in. Because if I focus more on what I'm interested in, I think you guys will benefit, I think when I start to cover things that I find boring and stuff like that, it really takes the spark away, like it takes away the fun and I end up being tired and uninterested and just spouting out information. And that's not fun. This isn't a book on tape. I do a little bit of research and, that mixed with my observation on things and hopefully a laugh here too. Try to keep it light, but shit does get serious when you talk about marijuana. And back to what I was saying before, South Dakota does not want you here. They do not. They don't want us here. They don't want marijuana here. They don't want cannabis. They don't want hemp. They don't care. They don't want it. They don't want you here. And Kristi Noem is making it extremely, extremely obvious. She's doing everything she can to make it more difficult for patients to get marijuana. To get access to marijuana. On top of other things that I'll cover today, one thing that's not on here today that might be on a later episode is she makes it so you can't have your gun. If you have a marijuana license, you should not own a weapon, technically. A lot of places will tell you, just don't have your gun and your marijuana in the same place at the same time. And that's maybe a smart way to go about it. But I know for a fact that veterans use marijuana to help treat PTSD. And I, too, now that that's on the list, of things that can be covered by this, I also use that for PTSD and stuff from when I was younger. And I'm not going to get into that shit, but I have my reasons and my doctors agree. So for me, fine, whatever. I've never served or anything like that. I don't need a gun. I as much as I would like to hunt and stuff like that, sure. Take it away from me. Why not? But veterans and stuff, I don't think that's right to have a guy who went over and had to use a weapon to defend his country He had to use a gun in a place he was not going to go on his own, that he was sent to do a job. And of all people, to say that they shouldn't be allowed to have a gun is kind of ridiculous. You know, the fact that it just kind of blankets everybody. I feel like they should be exempt and should be allowed to have a gun, because it's more dangerous for somebody who could potentially have PTSD to go to a bar and drink and, let's say, own a gun, than it would be for them to smoke marijuana and own a gun, because veterans have an extremely high percentage of suicide, despite what anybody wants to say or think. And marijuana is quickly being proven to help with things like that. And even if it helps just a couple of them, we owe them that much. Okay, we owe them for what they are doing and what they did, regardless of how you feel about it. You know, you can be anti-military, whatever. We wouldn't be here if not for military action, etc. So, you know, maybe it's misdirected sometimes, but it's definitely necessary. And those people shouldn't just be tossed aside when they come home. They should be taken care of. They shouldn't have to worry about anything anymore. On February 22nd, 2024, they made amendments to Senate Bill 42. And the names of people certified for South Dakota medical cannabis cards will be added to the state's prescription drug monitoring program. So you are now on the same list as people who take opiates, etc., so on and so forth, because cannabis is just as dangerous as opiates. It's just as dangerous as oxycodone and Oxycontin. It's just as dangerous as fentanyl and everything else. Everybody knows that, right? You know that. You know that marijuana is that dangerous, right? Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's not. Hold on. I'm actually wrong. I'm wrong about all of that. Oh, yeah, okay. So that none of that's true. Except for the fact that you will be added to the state's prescription drug monitoring program. You are already on that now. So, I mean, technically from that date, I didn't really look, but Chris just had to say yes on it, and it was done. Because it had passed with like a 57-12 vote or something like that. It passed pretty hardcore as a slam dunk. And, of course, this is going to take away from time and money that should go towards, I don't know, maybe an opioid crisis, fentanyl and stuff being found in Sioux Falls. Maybe they should try and fight that some more, but, or maybe meth, because we're on it. So maybe we should be fighting that a little bit. But no, let's keep an eye on them dirty cannabis smokers. Kristi Noem, thank you for keeping us safe. Yeah. So Senate Bill 42 has been amended with this vote, among others. If you want to read the whole bill, you can look it up, Senate Bill 42. And that should pretty much look that up in South Dakota, and that should bring you right up to Pierre and where they voted on it and all that other stuff. And you should be able to go through it. There's links on there where you can click on it. And I'm pretty sure it's through Kelloland. Shout out Kelloland. What's up? Thanks for reporting on stuff that has to do with marijuana. I know mostly it's to fire up the Republicans, but not that I'm anti-Republican either, like I said, I agree with gun rights and other things like that. So I'm a middle of the road kind of guy on a lot of things. And it's not because I don't like to make decisions or choose a side. It's just I don't feel like either side properly represents me. And so it's just, but not that I'm against either one, unless, some things are ridiculous. So if you want to look that up, go ahead. I'm going to give you kind of a general breakdown of things, at least for section 1. so far that have gone on. I'm going to do section 1 on this episode because section 1 is pretty big. So the next episode is probably going to contain more from section 2, 3, etc., so on and so forth. Excuse me. I'm going to break down things that I thought were interesting or that have changed. You can have 2 flowering plants. And a flowering plant is a plant that has flower budding out of the nodes on the stem. So if that is happening at all, that is considered a flowering plant, just so you know. Be careful with that. You can have 2 flowering plants and 2 not flowering plants. Okay, I've heard different people debate on the numbers and what you can have and what you're allowed, and that's the official numbers on there for what you can have. And then like I said, and also all cannabis from said plants must be kept at the same property. So no separate grow operations on a different property. You can't have a grow house out on your farm property or something like that and then keep your marijuana at your house in town or anything like that. It has to be kept. The marijuana has to be kept at whatever facility it was grown at. So you best be growing at home, I would say, unless you want to get certified grower's license and all that other shit. And the price of all that shit went up too, just so you know. You now must have a bona fide practitioner, which is someone who is able to prescribe drugs to patients. You must have a bona fide practitioner-patient relationship. And this is going to mess up a lot of people trying to get those take a piece of paper to a pop-up clinic kind of things, okay? This is going to fuck you up. You're going to have to get a physical exam from your family doctor, and they're going to have to approve it. Also, you could be required to do multiple exams before your doctor approves it, not just a one in and out with your family doctor. You might have to do 2, 3, appointments to get certified and then go do an appointment with the doctor that's going to approve you. Also, you could be required to do follow-up exams, like I said, so your doctor can monitor marijuana's effectiveness, if any. They will have to approve another practitioner / pop-up clinic, and believe that practitioner will be following up with you if they themselves are not. These visits cannot be for the sole purpose of getting a medical marijuana license unless your primary care provider approves it. And so my thoughts on that is y'all still think that they're going to let recreational marijuana slide through? I mean, I know that she can't veto it this time, but you don't think she's going to just add laws and bylaws and amendments and bills to make it so it's damn near impossible to smoke it anywhere, if at all, or possess it? I mean, she's doing everything she can to make it harder and harder for us to stay here. Debilitating medical conditions are defined as a chronic or debilitating disease or medical condition or its treatment that produces one or more of the following, which is, it doesn't have to produce any. Well, yeah, some of these are just themselves debilitating diseases. Cachexia, which I'm not ever going to say that again, also known as wasting syndrome. Seen a lot of times with chemo patients and stuff, where you just can't bring yourself to eat because you feel sick all the time. So, and it also goes with a lot of other diseases. That's just one that I've seen personally. So wasting syndrome can get you a medical marijuana license. Severe debilitating pain. It has to be debilitating, can't function kind of pain. Severe nausea, except for when it's related to pregnancy. Duh. We're not sure how marijuana affects pregnant women or fetuses or anything like that. We're still testing it on full grown, regular, just your average adult. So I 100% agree that there's not enough science behind it to, despite whatever your hippie friends say, and I smoked weed when I was pregnant with all of my kids and they turned out fine. And, and that's fine. Whatever. To each their own. I don't think that it should be something that the medical field allows, You got to be careful with stuff like that. We're trying to raise champions here. Okay. And while marijuana may help people with broken brains and other disabilities, I don't think it's enhancement for babies. Might be an unpopular stance, Babies should not have marijuana. It's also used to treat seizures, severe and persistent muscle spasms, AIDS and HIV, ALS, which I just found out is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I didn't know it was a type of sclerosis. Also used to treat multiple sclerosis. For those of you who can't pick a sclerosis and must just have them all, multiple sclerosis. Cancer or its treatment, Crohn's disease, which is a horrible digestive disease. There was a kid around that just passed from that not too long ago. So used to treat that, once again, help people eat. Epilepsy and seizures, and PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder is also on the list. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that was on the list when this started. So it's nice that that's on there. Requirements for being a designated caregiver. You must be 21, of course. Duh. No, you can be a felon. I didn't know that. You can have felonies and be a caregiver, ladies and gentlemen. Listen up. As long as you don't have any violent felonies in the jurisdiction where you plan on caregiving. So as long as you don't have violent felonies in the jurisdiction where you're going to be caregiving for people, you can be a caregiver. So take that into consideration. I know a lot of people have been avoiding it because they have drug charges or something else, but if it's nonviolent, it says you can be a caregiver. You may have, as a caregiver, you may have no more than 5 patients unless they reside in a care facility where you are employed. So even if you are a caregiver, you cannot be a caregiver for more than 5 patients. And that would give you, as long as, you're outside of the patient. So if it's you, yourself, plus 5 patients, that would give you access to, you would be able to grow. You'd be able to have 12 plants flowering and 12 plants not flowering is what you would be able to do. So that would be a lot, since you would also have to do that in your house, unless you want to pay for all the licenses and everything that just went way up in price. Extracts are now an ingredient instead of an edible. It was on the list of edibles for some reason, and now it's just used as an ingredient. It's still THC, of course. It's just redefined kind of a little bit. Basically, better defined than what it was. Drink every time I say I know. I'm anti-alcohol. Kind of. I don't know. It's not for me, and it's not for a lot of people from what I see out there. Not to keep bringing it up. What a negative Nancy. Safety sensitive job. This is one that I see potential issues with. A safety sensitive job is any position with tasks or duties that an employer reasonably believes could 1. cause the illness, injury, or death of an individual. 2, result in serious property damage. So, it leaves it open for, I think, basically every job out there, kind of. Because if you want to go with cause the illness, injury, or death of an individual, there's cooking. You could throw cooking in there. Things to do with the food industry. Stuff like that. Any kind of manufacturing where food is made. Things like that. All thrown out. And what you think of people who use marijuana is just not true. Most people use marijuana at home after work when they're done for the day. You know, they're not at work retarded, not knowing what to do. Just perceptions of marijuana in South Dakota are just really messed up. And also, there's people just abusing what little bit of freedom we get with it is abused a lot. So I think that's going to cause issues because basically it's going to be up to the employer whether or not they allow anybody with a medical license or not to have marijuana in their system. So and that's going to come down to insurance companies are going to push hard on that one. Insurance companies are going to want to increase your rates and stuff like that. That's going to be the next thing. If you have people who smoke marijuana working on your staff, they're going to want to increase that. So it's going to cause people who don't have a problem with it to not hire people who have medical marijuana licenses. Meanwhile, the dipshit with a hydrocodone fucking prescription can stand right next to you, fucking pop 8 pain pills and fucking be frying eggs and shit. Way to go. Way to keep things fucking straight and orderly, South Dakota. Once again, knocking it out of the park and not looking ignorant or embarrassing ourselves in any way, as is the norm. Written certification. To get written certification now, you have to have a debilitating condition. You have to have confirmation of a bona fide patient-practitioner relationship. You have to have specification of condition. You also now must have specified expiration date of certification and specify whether practitioner has certified the patient before, which I worry about because that could potentially mean that maybe they're going to start pressuring practitioners on how many times they've certified somebody. And, unless it's a condition that never improves. But I know that some practitioners are uncomfortable right now with prescribing marijuana, almost like it invalidates all the work you've done to become a practitioner. But we're talking about medical marijuana. It is medicine, regardless of what anybody wants to say. It has been found to have medicinal properties to help people. And that would be like picking and choosing which meds you prescribe for which thing based off of how you personally feel about it. Each separate company or whatever. And that's not taking the patient's best interest into account. So, I feel like they had PTSDs on there now. That's fucking super. But PTSD is related a lot with veterans, and they, have to give up guns now. And at least unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like South Dakota doesn't want us here. Like they, I don't know, like they don't take us seriously, as being people who are genuinely helped with medical marijuana, because I am definitely one person for sure who is helped with medical marijuana. If not for medical marijuana, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be working. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be able to leave my house most days. So the thought that somebody's trying to make it harder and harder to access and doing it all while ignoring any research done or anything that's said, just following party politics and trying to impress higher ups with their tough stand against drugs in a state that's fucking overflowing at the gills with meth. You told the whole damn country that we had a meth problem. And it brought so much more meth into the state. So much more. I just lost a friend not even a week ago. Not that they're dead or anything yet, but I will no longer be associated with them. And it's because they are now doing meth and doing dope. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere. And you're trying to fight me on medicinal marijuana. It's get your act together, South Dakota. Get your head out of your ass and let's do something right, okay? Marijuana smokers are absolutely everywhere and they don't bother anybody. It's why you don't know we're there, because we don't fucking bother anyone. We keep it to ourselves. I smoke because my fucking brain is broken, okay? It does not operate on what your ma and pa used to say. That does not apply here. You need to look at science, research, people more intelligent than yourselves and me. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to do, I might go back to doing the old sign off and stuff, but I just don't feel it, you know? I just don't feel it. I'm not here to irritate anybody or piss anybody off. And if the stuff I say does piss you off, it's probably because you don't do any fucking research and you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. So, I appreciate you all checking in. I am back. I'm back. I'm going to be doing this every week. So, yeah, tune in for section 2 of this bill that has been amended that has to do with your marijuana rights and responsibilities. Things that they pass without telling you. Things that they don't want you to notice. You know, for your marijuana information, your South Dakota-based marijuana, and perhaps worldwide marijuana knowledge when the time applies, tune in. Smoking That Ish on YouTube. Smoking That Ish Part 2 on fucking Instagram. All right? Be nice. Treat each other with kindness and respect yourselves. I'll see you next time.